Nerazzurri fans from all over the world, welcome to the Interglobe for the pre-match of Milan-Inter semi-final of the Champions League 2022-2023. The level of emotion is overwhelming. You can feel it even here in the city. It's palpable. I have to say that I asked for this semi-final. I was hoping for Milan to beat Naples because I was hoping to have the chance 20 years later to consume my sweet revenge. That's why I say that revenge is a dish better served cold, because after 20 years it's just the right time to get back what they stole from us. I was looking back at the games of 2003 and 2005, in which I was also present at the stadium. In particular, I can remember in 2005 I went with my Milan friend John, and I left the stadium 20 minutes earlier because of the firework that hit Dida. But you know, that double match was, let's say, without history, because Milan won 2-0 in 2005 in the first leg, and then we tied in the second. So actually we even lost 1-0 I think in the second, so we never really had a chance over there. So 2005 I would say was a moment in which yes, we suffered because we did, but you know, it was a quarterfinal and not a semi-final, and above all this match in which we didn't qualify also brought us the biggest joy as Inter fans in our lives, probably, because if we take away the triplet and our trophies, I think nothing beats the satisfaction we felt in 2005 when Milan reached the final in Istanbul against Liverpool and was winning 3-0 at the end of the first half. I was here watching it at home, and in the end they managed to lose, you know, so that was bliss heaven. So 2005, because of the way that the final went and because it was a quarterfinal, was painful, but not so much, and also because they dominated us. Let's have a look at the starting lineup of the teams in 2005. As a matter of fact, we had Toldo, Favalli, Mihailovic, Cordoba, Zanetti, Stankovic, Cambiasso, Cristiano, Zanetti, and Veron behind Cruz and Martens. While instead Milan had Dida, a defense made by Maldini, Nesta, Stam and Cafu. Midfield made by Gattuso, Pirlo and Seedorf, and then Kaká behind Crespo and Shevchenko. I mean, honestly, we were weaker in 2005. Going back to 2003 instead, I also think that we were weaker, and of course it was a lot more painful of a defeat because we tied 1-1 in the first leg and 0-0 in the second, or vice versa. But anyway, with two ties, because of the rules there were then, we went out, and it was very painful because of this, and on top of it all because Milan won the cup with Juventus in the final. So 2003 was worse than 2005. Let's have a look at the starting lineups here as well, and honestly, objectively, 20 years later, I can say that even then, even in 2003, we were a bit weaker. Why? Because we had Toldo, Coco, Cannavaro, Materazzi, Cordoba. In midfield, Zanetti, Sergio Conceição, Di Biagio and Emre, and forward, Recoba and Crespo. Milan, on the other hand, in 2003, had Dida, Costa Curta, Nesta, Maldini, Calase, Gattuso, Pirlo, Seedorf, Rui Costa, Shevchenko, Inzaghi. Honestly, 2005 they were stronger, but still in 2003 they still, I think, were stronger than us, because in our midfield, I mean, we had Emre, we had Coco in defense, so you know, we did have some weak parts and weak roles in our team. Anyway, this is what happened back then. Now we are in 2023, and I objectively think that we are stronger than Milan. Just player by player, if you take them all, we are stronger than them, and we have a richer squad as well. So in terms of substitutions, there's no comparison. But the department in which we do better is forward, where we have Lukaku, Lauti, Dzeko and Correa, okay? But Milan has only Giroud. So I honestly think we are better if you look at the players, and we are better if you look at the stats as well. Let's have a look at Serie A, for example. Milan is the team that attempts more dribblings in Serie A with 327 before the last match. All these stats are before the last Serie A match. So Milan is 327 dribbles first, and Inter has 200. So we are last, first and last. This might make you think that Milan is stronger, but no, it's not like that, because if you look at the amount of plays that each team produces, there's no comparison. There's a site where I looked up all of this. It's called Soccerment. I receive 0.0 euros for their sponsorship, but I found some interesting pieces of statistic there. For example, in terms of goals scored in Serie A this year, Napoli, before the last match again, had 69, Inter had 60, so it was second, and Milan has 53. But there is a piece of information which is called expected goals, which basically is the number of goals that, based on the volume of play that the team produces, the algorithm assigns. So the expected goals of Inter were 64.22, and we scored 60. So the expected goals were more than what we scored. Why? Because we'll see later we are not precise. Napoli's expected goals were 62.41 and they have 69, so it's a clear sign that Napoli outperformed themselves this year. And Milan had expected goals of 55.67 and they scored 53. So they did also have an expected goals number higher than what they scored, but not as high as ours. Looking at the shots as well, which is an important piece of information, shots on goal, the first team in Serie A is Fiorentina with 569. Then we have Napoli with 532, and we have Milan with 486. But if we look at the shots accuracy, Inter is in the 12th place, Milan in the 7th, and Napoli in the 4th. What does it mean? That we produce a lot and we don't score enough. We are not precise. But this piece of data that tells that we are the team that produces the most plays in Serie A is what makes me confident that we will have our chances. We just need to be good in converting them. Overall strength as a squad, I think Inter is first. Overall stats say that also Inter can do better than Milan. If we look at the injuries, we have this problem with Leao, but I think he'll play in the end. So Milan basically has no injuries, while Inter has Gosens, who is out, and of course Skriniar, who is among the best, if not the best defender in Serie A. So it's a big loss for us. But D'Ambrosio will be back after he missed the Roma match because he feels better. Let's look at the starting lineup that I think will be chosen by Simone Inzaghi tomorrow. We're going to have Tiramolo Onana, then in defense definitely Bastoni, Acerbi and Darmian. Darmian, who is going to be a key role and a key presence because he's going to be responsible for creating part of the cage around Leao. Then we have Barella, Tjumen Brozovic and Mkhitaryan in the midfield. I saw Çalhanoğlu a bit below his usual standards, and that's why I'd start with Miki, but Sultan of Swing can also be a good choice. Let's see what Simone will choose himself. And then on the flanks, we're going to have, of course, A-Train Dumfries and Drone Delivery Di Marco, and forward Lautaro and Dzeko, even though I would probably go with the Lula, but the rotations are obvious and they kind of display Inzaghi's mind, and Lauti and Dzeko will be his choices. That's it for today's video. I'm really excited. I can't wait for the game to arrive. I know I asked for it, but I'm also a bit scared because if we lose this double match, you know, the atmosphere and the pressure here in Milan will be awful for years. So I hope we will be able to really perform up to our standards. That's all for today's video. Please punch the like button if you enjoyed it, leave a comment. I'd love to learn how to make these videos better, and subscribe if you can, because that's really fundamental for me. I'd love to reach 1,000 subscribers ASAP. Thanks again, and as always, Forza Magica Inter!